Thank you.
Thanks for having me here for the first e-talk. So right off the bat, if there's times when you can't hear me up here, let me know, because the mics are kind of funny. Like if you're 1 minute you're right under it and you're like getting the right volume and the right frequency, and then the next minute no one can hear you. So I want to try and look cool up here. I'm doing my best. So just let me know if I'm looking uncool, and then I'll move towards underneath the mic. So a little background on me, I guess. I used to have pretty bad communication skills. Like I used to hate public speaking. I did a public speaking speech one time in high school, and it was horrible. I hated it. I went up there like almost blacked out. I had my script in front of me, what I was going to say, and I just remember shaking, being so nervous. And later on in life, I wanted to really overcome that fear, and that led me towards learning about communication skills. That led me towards joining Toastmasters. After that, joining Dale Carnegie, and then as well hosting my own communication courses, public speaking courses, and really just the soft skills and getting really good at that. You guys think that's kind of important sometimes, soft skills? Okay, cool. I wish my younger self knew that, because when I was a young guy, I got right into to bodybuilding and fitness at a young age. And there's just one guy I can remember who inspired me. This guy was, he's a big time actor at the time. He had a funny last name. He's a pretty big guy, pretty muscular, and you might have remembered him from such movies as The Terminator. So you guys know who I'm talking about? Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's right, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So this guy, I saw this guy in Terminator 2, and I was like, this guy's cool. That's who I want to be. And at the time, I thought that's what it meant to be a good leader, and so I really aspired to that. And so what did he portray in Terminator 2? Well, he's this guy who's stoic, who's emotionless, and really just cold, calculated. Kind of always knows what to do, but he's not very good at relating to people. So if you can imagine me at a young age emulating that, as I got a little older, do you think I had a lot of friends? I didn't have many friends, guys. I'll be honest, I didn't have many friends because I just didn't really know how to effectively relate to people. So today we're going to look at 3 tools to build relationships. Now there's many tools out there, so many different things you could do. We're going to focus on 3 that I think are pretty important. So 3 things we're going to discuss today. First one is remembering names, body language for relationships, and then lastly we're going to look at how to overcome objections. So 3 things. There's going to be lots of group work, so if you're not already in a circle, I'll maybe recommend joining a circle at some point. Because it's going to be a lot of group work, a lot of you guys doing the heavy lifting, as they say. So I'm just going to get right into it. So Jack, if you can just join a circle. Yeah. No sitting at the back. There's no sitting at, people always do that at our branch meetings. They go and fill the back rows first. It's like, come on, guys. Okay, great. So right off the bat, we're going to look at remembering names. Now, when I was in high school, at the end of my high school, one day I was sitting for lunch, and I'm having lunch with my parents, and I look across this restaurant we're at, and I see the principal sitting there with his wife. He's having lunch. And at the time in high school, I wasn't a very notable character, so I was like, I wanted to go over and say hi to him, wanted to go over and introduce myself, ask him how he's doing, say, man, you're doing a great job. But at the time, I didn't have the confidence, and I didn't think he really knew who I was. So what happened next was really interesting. He finished eating, he paid his bill, and then he walked on over to me and he said, hey, Calder, good to see you here. Now, the simple fact that he remembered my name when there was 1,200 people at the school was, to me, outstanding. And I thought that was really, really cool because there's just so many people at that school. And it made me feel special in that moment. It made me feel like, he knew who I was and he knew what I was doing. So have you guys ever experienced something like that who just is, so amazing at remembering names? You experience that? And maybe, have you ever experienced someone who's not so good at remembering names? Now, I've been that person who's not so good at remembering names, and you're with a group of people and you're asking them, hey, can you ask what their name is for me? Or you're going weeks and weeks and weeks and just hoping that at some point it comes up in conversation. And it just sucks. And a person's name, as Dale Carnegie says, a person's name is to that person the most important, sweetest sound in any language. You guys agree with that quote? Okay, cool. So we're going to look at right off the bat, what are some tricks to remembering names? So we're just going to brainstorm a few. Do you guys have any tricks you use? So visual associations. And the first time I met you and you did that visual association for me, it made it really easy. And I never Right. So repetition in that conversation, so you get used to associating and saying the name while you're looking at that person. So repetition. Any others?
Maybe your position.
What is that?
Position.
Position, so associating their name with what they do. Okay. Any others? Yeah.
Just listening.
Listening. Yeah.
When someone say, "Hi, what's your name?" and they answer, just actively listening.
For sure. Not thinking about what we're going to say next. Anyone do that sometimes? Any others?
I just do like a character.
Oh, okay, great. So a person you know, or maybe a famous person, like an icon. So if you're trying to remember the name Michael, perhaps you could think of Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Michelangelo, and you picture, them all standing together. They got their arms on each other. You do that in a split second. Do you think you're going to have a higher degree of remembering that name? For sure. Any other tricks that you guys like to use? Okay, we got a couple good ones right off the bat here. So the key idea with remembering a name is really the same as when you remember anything. So you want to think of a name like a piece of information. So if you're in school, you're learning a new theory, a new idea, what are some tricks you'd use? Well, most of the time, visual aids, associations, looking up graphs, looking up definitions, meanings, all those things. So what you're doing there is you're taking that new piece of information, and this is you over here, with your brain, your mind. You're just creating more links to the things that you already know. So the more links that you can create when you try and recall that name, if one of the links gets blocked, then you have other associations that you've created that you can help you recall that name, pull that piece of information forward. So I'm going to show you a few I've written down here. These are some great ones, but I got a couple others just to add to the list, and some of these have actually been hit on. But break it into familiar words. So Michael becomes Mike, who's ill. And you may picture that person, Michael, and his name's Mike, and he's feeling ill, he's feeling sick. So you're building that visual representation. So again, you make it visual, you imagine him being sick. Rhymes, alliteration, so musical Michael. Perhaps you give it movement, marching Michael, or attaching it again to familiar people, so Michael Jordan. So really the idea behind creating a powerful name association and never forgetting someone's name is you want to make it as visual as possible. You want to create as many links as possible, as many associations as possible, and that's going to help you remember it every single time. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, great. Do you have any questions? Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to try this out. We're going to implement it. So what we're going to do is we're with our group, the people in our circle, we're all going to work together to create name associations for ourselves. So everyone's going to help everyone to create their own name association for themselves. And I'll just give mine right off the bat. Now mine's kind of elaborate, it's kind of weird, it might be a little silly. You'll guaranteed you will never ever forget my first and last name after I tell you this. So here goes. So my name is Calder Brown. Calder is a Scottish name. So picture me in Scotland. I'm standing on top of the Calder Castle wearing a brown kilt. I had just called her, my mom, to tell her I won the Calder Cup, which is a hockey trophy in junior hockey in Canada. Now the camera pans out and you'll see that below my brown kilt I have brown leg hair. I also have a brown beard, I know it's kind of gross, and brown arm hair. And I'm looking up into the sky saying my name is Calder Brown. So that's a very elaborate name association. Now you might not want to go that deep ever because things can get a little weird when you go that deep, right? But you're never ever going to forget someone's name when you build association around that. So do you guys have any questions now? Okay, so in the next 4 minutes with our group, we're going to build name associations for ourselves with the help of our group. Okay, please begin. All right, welcome back everyone. So we've got 4 groups here. Does someone from each group feel comfortable sharing their name association? Okay, sure, yeah.
Like my own or everybody's?
Just your own, the one that everyone helped you.
My name's...
Oh yeah, we've got a
Lucky me. My name's Erin. It could be like Erin Brockovich, but I have lots of hair and people used to call me Heron.
Harry Aaron.
No. But yeah.
And did you create one for your last name as well?
Well, we didn't go into that because we didn't have a lot of time.
Okay.
But I will say my last name is McCullough, and you can actually sing the letters of it to the old Mickey Mouse song, like MCCULLOUGH.
Nice. Okay, that's good. Yeah, sing it. That's awesome.
So yeah.
Nice. Anyone else want to give it a shot? Nice.
So yeah, Stephen Birch. So we got the tree obviously on the back end. So we tried to figure out tree, Stephen, what's going on. Then we thought, okay, so Stephen Jobs, apple tree. So you can kind of
nice.
picture me sitting under the tree with an apple falling from a birch tree on my head, right?
Hanging out with Steve Jobs.
And I'm a
maybe.
genius, right?
Yeah. Millions of dollars. Anyone from the back want to give it a shot?
Can you make it all the way back here?
For sure, yeah. Hopefully that thing's padded.
Hi, everybody. My name's Gary, and I'm not Gary Perkins.
Or Gary.
I work for him, but I'm not him. Everybody knows Gary Perkins, right? All right, so that's not me. My last name happens to be Merrick, and the Elephant Man, John Merrick. So if you think of Gary Perkins and the Elephant Man, you know who I am.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I found that what's worked best for me, like when it's a fast-paced conversation or you don't really have time, is at least with common names, you can just quickly picture them standing next to people that share those names that you met. So if you're meeting a John, you just picture them standing next to your good friend John, your Uncle John, and you can just do that in a split second. That works really well. When it's a little bit of a stranger name, one that you've never heard before, that's when you have to take that little bit of extra time after and actually construct that name association. So these things work really well, but with anything, they require practice. And the more associations you build, the easier it will be to recall and use those associations. So what we're going to do next is going to make sense after you do it. So you just bear with me here. It's going to make sense after you do it. So we got some name associations. We've maybe talked to some people we haven't talked to in a while in this room here today. So what we're going to do next, and I'll just flip the slide, is we're going to do a networking drill, really. So we're going to take 2 minutes. We're going to get up, and the goal is go and talk to someone that you haven't talked to in a while. So I'm sure there's someone in here you haven't talked to in a while, and you just ask them some questions, learn a little bit more about them, because I can guarantee that there's something that you don't know about someone that you work with or someone in this room here today. So the goal is just to get up. We have 2 minutes. Go and talk to someone that you haven't talked to in a while, and you can use some of these questions here. You can use your own questions. Try and find something that you have in common with them. That's really the goal. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, please begin. So you don't have to go back to your seat. You don't have to go back to your seat right now. We're going to do this drill one more time. And we're going to go talk to someone else. We're going to do this drill one more time. All that's going to change is this time when we do it, I want you to greet this person, talk to this person like it's your long-lost best friend. So greet them how you would greet your long-lost best friend. Maybe it's a high five, fist bump, whatever it is. Just greet them with that energy. Imagine they're your long-lost best friend. Go through the same questions, and that's it. That's the only change. So we're going to do it for 2 more minutes. Please begin. So what did you guys think of that? Was there any difference between the first and the second time? Any key takeaways?
Yes. I think people were more open. People were more open when you were friendlier right up front, and they felt like they could share more. And even though it was good the first time, it was different the second time because everybody was excited and enthusiastic.
Yeah. Did you find that it was easier to connect?
Yes, and to communicate. Yes.
Anyone else? Was it weird? Was it a weird drill? Yeah. A little bit? Yeah. Okay, right on. So what changed between the first and the second interaction wasn't really the content. I mean, I hope you used similar questions when you talked. So the content didn't really change. What changed between the first and the second interaction? Yeah. What's that?
You know the drill already. We have already done that in the first person. So it's a-
For sure. So it's a little easier because you know the drill, you know the questions. Yeah.
I think the intensity was higher when you're acting as if you've known someone. You know, you go to
Yeah.
maybe embrace them, or there's less of a tension between you because you're acting out as if you've known them.
Right. So more relaxed.
Well, your attitude changes.
Your attitude. Okay.
Different from the start.
Yeah. It's the energy kind of changed. So if content doesn't play a role in the energy and how you meet someone or communicate with someone, then what does play a role? Does anyone have any thoughts? Yeah.
Your level of comfort. So we were very open with each other, and we were looking for those associations and things that we had in common.
Great.
And so it just kind of made it feel
And what communicates openness?
body language.
Body language?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were open. We were elevated.
Energized?
tone, we were, yeah,
Yeah.
energized. I mean, yeah. I generally pretend like I know people all the time, so
Yeah.
it wasn't that different.
For sure. Okay. So that was your normal level.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. So some of the big things that changed are our body language and our voice, and those are really the three elements of communication. You have your content, the words that you say. You have your body, how you move, and you have your voice, how you sound. And I'm sure if you ever communicate with someone on the phone, you can tell if they're smiling or if they're frowning. We used to have a sales person who took one of the Dale Carnegie courses, and their sales wasn't doing that well. And so one of the tricks that they did was they stuck a mirror in front of them. When they're doing their sales calls, they would make sure that they're smiling. Because when you're smiling, your voice will actually change. And people can tell if you're smiling or if you're frowning. So what we're going to look at right now is 3 ways to bring great energy. And I think they're really simple ways. And because they're simple, it makes them small wins for us on a daily basis. So the first one is open body language. Now, what does open body language look like? Does anyone have any thoughts? Yeah. Not closed, right? Not open body language is not closed. For sure. Yeah. So arms at the side, chest is exposed. Maybe you're doing eye contact. You're smiling. Generally, you're open. Now, why is this so weird for a lot of people? It's weird because it's more of a vulnerable position. And that's why you'll see a lot of times when people do speeches, one of the hardest things for them to overcome is the ability to not do hand clasping or not put their hands in their pockets or cross their arms. And it's just a natural tendency. And these things also come out when people go into networking functions. Just naturally, they're not even conscious or aware that they're doing these weird kind of things with their body. So open body language creates openness. It creates trust because the person doesn't look like they have anything to hide. Now, when someone is doing shifty eyes, do they look like they maybe have something to hide? Do they look a little less trusting? For sure. So eye contact and just generally being open on a daily basis. Now, a lot of people might wonder or might ask, like, how do you actually improve your body language? Because a lot of it is subconscious. A lot of it just comes out because we've been doing it for a long time. But one of the best ways is just to be a little bit more aware on your day-to-day. So when you're actually talking with someone, you might take that split second and think, am I doing this while I'm talking to them in the halls? Or do I have my arms open? Am I doing this or this when I'm communicating with my team in a meeting? Or am I relaxed and open and able to do eye contact easily? So it's just taking that split second and becoming aware of what you're communicating and how you're communicating. And there's statistics that show that body language is the biggest factor in communication. And then after that, it's voice. And then lastly, it's content. Now, you still got to have good content to boot, because if you have bad content, eventually people are going to be like, all right, well, they might have good body language, but what they're saying is kind of not true at all. So you got to have some good content to back it up and to boot. So that's the first one. The second one's smile. So again, this is, I gotta step away from that thing. Again, smiling is just one of the easiest, smallest wins. Now, the best part about smiling, I sound kind of cheesy right now talking about smiling, but the best part about smiling is that when you do it, it actually makes you physically feel better. It releases those endorphins, releases those happy chemicals. It makes you feel better. Now, when I first got into working out and I was doing the squats and I hated it and it was horrible, one thing I would do that would help a lot was just smiling. So really, anything you do that sucks, you got one ace in your pocket and you can just smile through it and be like, this sucks, but I'm going to keep smiling because it feels good. Now, the other thing is, like, when you greet someone in a hall, you give them that smile. What happens usually? They smile back, unless you're like, doing that really like creepy smile. It's like, whoa, that's like too big? Yeah, and they're like, then they're gonna stand clear. You say, you don't want to smile too hard, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But sometimes it's like if a person who's smiling and just bringing that energy is like a light in a dark place, essentially. Like they physically can make people feel better. And it's just a simple act. So that's the second one. The third one is, I think equally important to the first two, is congruence. So what does congruence mean? Congruence is simply when your content, so the words you're saying, your body, how you look, and your voice are all aligned. So if you're addressing your team, or if you're addressing someone in your group, and you say oh, I'm really happy like you're part of our team. Moon One, I'm really happy you're part of our team. Like, yeah, I really like you. Yeah, huh? Yeah, well, yeah, maybe I'm not so good at that. But what happens when your words are still good, right? Just positive words, positive content, but the body and the voice change. Well, generally, and studies have shown, the thing that people pick up most on is your body, second voice, and third is the content. Another example could be if you close your eyes right now, and I gave you two phrases. The first one I said, oh, I'm so excited to be here today. And the second one, I said, I'm so excited to be here today. Right? It's the same content. The only thing I changed was my voice. What do you feel? Do you feel a big difference between the two? So congruence is huge. Whatever message you're delivering, you have to just keep in mind that depending on how your body is, depending on your voice, those things could contradict your message, and those things will weigh more than the words you're actually saying. So if you want to motivate your team, inspire your team, or generally just make someone feel better, you also have to say that with your voice, say that with your body, and just even doing open body language, they've seen that will actually decrease cortisol stress and increase testosterone, which is good for girls and boys. And testosterone makes you feel more confident and gives you more energy. So just simply doing open body language every single day can make you feel better and elevate your state. So those are the three things. Anyone have any insights, anything they'd like to add?
My wife told me that when she was in high school, one of the teachers told her that you should smile more. So my wife would practice every morning to see the mirror, make me smile, and the same more personal connection.
Yeah.
That's what I want to learn.
So there's this other guy that used to work in this building. I don't want to say any names, but he told me this later on because I just knew him the last 2 years. But he's like, yeah, a couple years ago, someone came up to me and told me I need to smile more. Like I'm too serious, I'm too stoic. And when I met him, he's like the happiest guy ever. So what did that tell me? Is it told me that you can change. Like, whatever face is your normal state, that doesn't necessarily have to be your normal state. Like you can change your state just by practice, by routine. So if you want to smile a little bit more, then you just got to start smiling a little more. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add? So last one is overcoming objections. So I worked in sales for a bit, and I did the personal development sales challenge, I call it, because it was really tough. I ended up doing lots of cold calls every single day. I was doing about 100 cold calls a day for a year. Would never recommend it to anyone. But right off the bat, when I first started, I was really bad at sales. Sucked. And one of the things I realized is that you can get rejected a lot in sales and in life. You can get rejected a lot. People say no to your ideas. People say no to you. And you have the ability to respond how you want to respond. So that's the first thing I noticed. You get rejected a lot. Second thing I noticed is that I wasn't prepared to be rejected. I wasn't prepared to deal with a no. Anyone ever experienced a no at work? You get someone says no, yeah. Now it can be at work, it can be at home. Your husband, your wife, they might not agree. Your partner, they might say no. And what happens generally when someone says no to your idea?
Get defensive.
You get defensive, yeah. Frustrated. Angry. Yeah, lots of times there's an emotional response. So we can feel our blood pressure start to spike. We might feel like it's a personal attack. We might get angry, we might get defensive, and then there's the other type of people who might just get sad and cry. Right? There's two types, the fight or the flight, right? So we need to know, and this is something that I found was really important for me, we need to have a process or a system that we can follow. Now, what does having a process or system allow us to do? Well, it allows us to be logical. So instead of being emotional in the moment, we can switch to that logical side and say, hey, I've got a trusted framework or process that I can use, that I can rely on. And then we can shift to that and say, We're going to separate ourselves from the personal. We're going to trust the process. So I'm going to teach you a really simple process. You may have seen it before, but if you haven't, it's great. It's a great thing to use. So simple 3-step formula. So the first thing you do, so you have this idea, you have something you like, maybe you like basketball. You say, hey, I love basketball. And the person on the other side of the table says, basketball is the worst sport possible. If you love basketball, that's a hit. That's an emotional attack. So what do? Do you get angry right away? Do you throw some water in their face? Do you leave? Do you cry? What do you do? Well, the first thing you do is you listen. It's a simple, I think you mentioned it earlier, is that you listen. You hear what they're saying. And then you think, what do I think? What evidence do I have? What do I know? And in those split seconds, you might think, well, basketball was invented by Canadians, pretty cool sport, pretty cool people. Basketball has been around for a long time. It has hundreds and thousands of fans out there. And I personally just love sitting down with my family and friends and watching basketball. Now, you might do all that in a split second. Think about all the evidence, think about what you know and how you feel. Now, the other thing you want to do while you're listening is once they've finished, you might want to just ask them, do you have any other issues? Now, what I found a lot of times, and this will relate more to your project or the things you want to accomplish at work, is if someone has an objection, sometimes initially they give you a small objection, and that there's a deeper one, there's a different one, and it's up to you to discover it if you want to overcome it. So you have to discover the deepest, most impactful, most important objection. And if you can overcome that, sometimes the other ones will dissipate in a split second. So you have to listen and then make sure you've understood all their objections. Now, the second thing is you cushion. So what do some people do when they don't agree with a statement? Well, they start arguing right away. So you got to cushion, you got to pause and acknowledge their statement. You can repeat it back to them. You can say, I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. That's a valid opinion. Other people have had that opinion. So you cushion it, you soften it, and then you just provide your evidence. Now, what's the one thing you never want to do between a cushion and providing your evidence? There's like one word that you really want to try and stay clear of. Well, there's a few of them, but there's one big one. But, yeah, that's right. So you could say, oh, I hear what you're saying, but, or that's a great opinion, but, it's a valid insight, but, what does the but do? It negates everything, yeah. So you might as well not have said it. You might as well just launch right into your argument. Right? So it negates it. And there's other terms too. However is another good one. So buts and howevers are good terms to stay away from, and other negating terms. So what you want to do is listen, think about the evidence you have, what you know, cushion, I hear what you're saying, I understand your opinion, other people have experienced that, and then provide your evidence. Based on what I've seen, based on my life experience, based on statistics from this source, and then you provide those. Sounds pretty simple, right? The hardest challenge that a lot of people face when they go into this system is not to feel emotional, just to try and remain calm and logical. And studies have shown that when someone meets you at a very angry or high energy, or aggressive, or they're attacking you, when you meet them at a very low energy, very relaxed, calm, cool, reserved, then their energy will just naturally lower. They're not going to meet you, but it's going to lower, it's going to bring it down. So now we're going to try it out. And this is where things, I think, get really fun. So we're going to just pair up right now. So you two can go together, you two, Moon one. You might have to find someone over there at Gary's table. So just partner up with someone beside you. And once you have a partner, one partner, just put your hand up. Okay, great. So the partner with the hand up is going to be partner A. The other partner is partner B. So partner A is going to state their opinion. Partner B, you're going to be the belligerent one. You don't agree with it. It's the worst opinion ever. But for partner B's, there's no rants or anything like that. Just disagree and then that's it. So partner A, state opinion. Partner B does not agree. Partner A is going to use the formula listen, cushion, evidence. Then after we do that, we're just going to repeat to step 2 and step 3 and keep going and give you lots of practice, lots of reps. So I'm going to provide the first opinion piece for partner A. So should Starbucks be allowed at the University of Victoria? And this is a big debate a while ago. So partner A, you can decide, you're just going to state your opinion to partner B. So I believe Starbucks should be allowed at UVic, or I think Starbucks should not be allowed at UVic. Partner B, you're going to be belligerent, you disagree. Partner A goes back to you, you use that formula. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, great. So I'll give you 2 minutes. Please begin. All right, welcome back, everyone. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch roles so that everyone can get a chance trying both roles. So now the person who is agreeable becomes the disagreeable one. The goal for this one is, so the person who's disagreeable, try to really get in that frame. You know, don't be smiling. The goal is for the other person to really practice effectively. You have to convey that energy that you don't agree with them. You think their point is bad. Because what they're going to feel instinctively is they're going to feel that you're coming from that frame, that you're angry, or that you think their idea is dumb, and they're going to naturally, you're going to feel an emotional response. And the goal is to really remain collective. So if you want to take it a step further than the person who's disagreeable, just try to really put yourself in that position where you really don't agree with their opinion, and it's the worst opinion you've ever heard. And just that's going to give them a real chance and a real experience to practice. What's that?
You should tell all that I raise my voice.
You're gonna Okay. So give it a try. If you feel comfortable with it, give it a try. It's going to give the other person a more authentic experience, and they're going to find it's going to be more challenging to remain calm. So here's the second one. Do school uniforms help improve the learning experience? So the agreeable person gets to choose yes or no, whatever they think, and then disagreeable person thinks that's a horrible idea. So please begin. All right, welcome back, everyone. So what did you guys find? Anything different change over the three times you did it? For sure, yeah, it's hard not to say but or negate. Yeah, definitely. I mean, those are autopilot words for everyone. So it's just taking that extra second, that pause, and trying to avoid those words. Did anyone try anything differently instead of the pause? Was there anything that you changed up a little bit?
Yes, I actually changed my opinion.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we actually tried something interesting over here. We switched partners, and then do you want to tell them about what you two tried?
Actually, Calder asked for the person that did not agree was a little more aggressive to stand up. So they have a dominant position over you.
Yeah.
And it was a little anxious.
For sure, yeah.
Moments there, because there they are glowering over you.
Mm-hmm. And there's things you could take that even further, like the dominant person would have dominant body language. They'd be dominant with their voice, and if you changed sitting down, even if you change your body language to less open, you would actually feel worse. Just inside of your body, you'd feel worse. So there's all these little changes you can do to make this drill more intense or simulate the real thing. But did you guys enjoy it? Okay, right on. So we're done. We made it to the end of the hour. How'd you feel? Good? Okay, right on.